Hi there. Are y'all ready for 2023? I'm not, but that's okay. We've had a great holiday and we're moving on whether we're ready or not. That's kind of the way I have to approach things nowadays. Anyway, I thought I would let you in this time on my thoughts for the Block of the Month quilt that I'm doing for 2023. It's not a complete mystery, but I thought maybe it would be easier for you to see how I planned my colors out, because it's something that you'll have to do a little planning with your colors and your what you have at home to make the quilt. So the name of the quilt even is not decided. It could be called A Quilter's Life, A Good Life, or Life Behind Bars. Now, Life Behind Bars came about because my blocks have a striped fabric in them. As you can see, on all of the blocks there's this frame, and I chose to put a stripe there. That's totally your choice. But one of my friends said, well, that sounds like a good name for that would be Life Behind Bars. I don't know. We'll see. I do have a design, and I have several of the blocks made, and I'd love to have you follow along. So I thought I would give you some preliminary information. My block is set to finish at 64 by 64 inches. It could always be made bigger if you like. It's basically a sampler quilt, and I plan to have 16 pieced blocks. Here's an example of one, and then there are 9 alternate blocks. Each of the blocks, when you make them, will finish at 9 inches, but then when you put the frame on, they're going to be 12 inches. So that makes it take up more space. They also are going to be set on point, and there will be 3 borders, I think. So when I started planning this quilt, I thought I would choose block patterns according to their names. Barbara Brackman has a book out about all the different names of different blocks. I thought, oh, I can find some that relate. I thought, well, you know, maybe I can find some that represent life at different times. But then that became kind of difficult. And I wanted the blocks to be fairly easy to sew. So we'll have some fun with it. I may even rename some blocks as we go along, because I can be a contrary quilter. If you've ever heard of the contrary wife block, I can be that too. The fabrics that I chose for my quilt are going to be 4 values of blue fabrics, several white fabrics, and the white fabrics are backgrounds, and then different fabrics from my stash to put as the center of the quilts, or as the main block. I also, when I was looking around, I found this blue and white stripe, and I thought, oh, you know, that kind of works nicely. If you can't find a stripe, or if you don't want to use a stripe, it's fine. Just find something that will go along, because you will use it on every one of your blocks, and so you want it to be the same thing all the time. On my newsletter, that's where you will be able to get the patterns every month. I also will have on the newsletter a list at the beginning of, well, next week, I guess, when January begins, the first newsletter. I will have all of this information that I just told you, and then I will also have a list of the fabrics, the amounts that you might want to have on hand. I'm going to give you that really quick right now, but you can look on the newsletter to get it to have, so you can have it on your own at home. I used one color family. Mine are blue, as you can see. But you don't have to use just one color family. You could use 2 colors that go together, a main focus fabric, and then have parts that go with that focus fabric. But it was easy to pick one fabric and then try to find values that are changing as you go either from light to dark or dark to light. So I began with this dark blue fabric, which for me is this fabric. It's also in these blocks, in these little corner squares. And you need 1.5 yards. For medium dark blue, or the blue stripe, you can see, it's just something that goes, if you're not going to use the blue stripe, just find something that goes, and something that's about that will work along. Medium blue fabric is, there's going to be a lot of that in the border and on these alternate blocks. You also need, you need a 1/2 yard of that. You need 1 yard of the medium to dark blue stripe. You need a 1/2 yard of this medium blue and light blues. There's several light blues that I'm going to have to use. Here's a light blue here. And on these blocks, when we get to them, I will tell you then too. These are 2 different blues. This is lighter than this, but there's not much difference. If you want to use all the same blues on these light blues, that will work fine. So you need light blues about 2 yards. Whites, I have lots of different whites. I'm thinking 1.25 yard of different white backgrounds. Then you need colorful scraps from your stash. And I may use, I have another fabric that I tried at the beginning and I didn't like it very well. It's a little too dark, but I may use that for the binding and some accent in the borders. So, I hope you'd like to join along. We will do a block we'll do a block or 2 every month. Some of the blocks may be, you may have to repeat. If you find a block that you really like, in order to do 16 blocks, I don't think I'm going to have 16 separate block designs. Instead, I may have 12, and then you can double up on a couple of the ones that you really like. And we hope to be finished, hope to be done making it by December of 2023. So if you'd like to join us, you're welcome to come along and make a quilter's life, a good life, or a life behind bars, or maybe something else. It may turn out that we come up with a totally new, I come up with a totally new name for mine. So, we'll hope to have more information in just a few days. And if you would like to follow along with the block of the month this year, 2023, there's a link in the description below to the subscription to my newsletter.